The tenor of events surrounding me when Peter Gabriel was writing to me and I was at the Pit News was mystifying to me. I was at Lehigh University, and a woman came waddling up to me and she said, "You look like you'd want someone to talk to." And I said, "I was just looking at a classified that seems like it should be for me." And I showed her. It said, "James, you big stud. When are you going to live up to your nickname?" She said, "Oh, you're James. I'm Penny." And I had just gotten a letter from Penny working for Peter Gabriel. I said, "You have a namesake in England?" She said, "I just got here from Oxford." She told me about the day the earth stood still. So I was thinking about it the next day where I was doing maintenance with someone I met at Claymont. And a shaken secretary came on the elevator because Wall Street had crashed. So I was thinking about the day the earth stood still when Wall Street crashed. And John Stockwell of the CIA showed up the following day on my birthday. So what gives? The Martin Sheen crowd had planted letters on me in which they were producing the theme park notion that I could have saved John Lennon when he was the star of the script. That's obvious by the fact that Gail Burstyn appears on a record of one of John Lennon's friends in 1979, and that they didn't arrest her makes all of that very obvious. Of course, I didn't know anything about any of that at the time, 1987, 1986. I just thought it was a freedom of speech issue. I had said that Ronald Reagan was insulting my father with his hatred of liberalism. It was adding insult to injury because of the martyrs of liberal leadership. I didn't think it was really all that noteworthy of a thing for them to be banging on about. I certainly didn't realize that Adrian Ballou had turned my postcard into a rare car deal or something. I see it if they don't come clean as what Shapiro did, which was to put my name on one of his bombs. It's not any different, Maybe that's the reason why I was so. I mean, it meant the world to me, but I wasn't possessive of it. I just let it go, like Bombadil in the Ring. But it's come to represent something misuse. The support of the genocidalists and their mockery they have made of their victims by people like Greg Carl. And Ringo evidently teamed up with Greg Carl. Star Cynic was one of them. Greg Star Cynic was one of the agent names. And they had Donaldo Gilligan before Gilligan's Island. When they're putting out, I was right about the whole thing. People ask me, Howard Diversion asked me, "Why did you go along with it? It just looks like you're after a smorgasbord of ladies." I said I was following the leader because it was organized. I had to get to the bottom of it. Was I wrong? Greg Carl's papers say the persona is subjected to successive degradations of the X motive. I thought their overconfidence would be the only hope I would have of them playing into my hands sufficiently to get evidence. A couple people had seen the evidence and immediately recognized what it meant. I don't know where these other people are. They set up a Venus flytrap. I mean, gay ill is obviously the poison name. So, I'm just wearing this T-shirt because I like the T-shirt. It's not promotion of anything good or bad about the Sahel group. There on my walls painting of King Crimson. I never meant them any harm in the least. So some guy said it was, you should call it leftovers. This here's my Native American history collection. Over there are the pictures that Paul Strand inspired. I gave to my mother, and she sent to me when she moved into a place. It was too small. I don't have anyone to send them to if I have to move into a place that's too small. But it was that sort of clanging of the pots and pans around McCartney. Notice me. Because it never occurred to me that McCartney or even Gweener had anything to do with Dean or Gabriel's fascination with. I just thought it was friendly interest in me. Because I liked him. I hitchhiked to St. Louis because I missed the show in Pittsburgh. Toya Wilcox was all carping about the lines in the sand. I didn't do nothing to that girl. Far from it. It's just ridiculous. What are they trying to pull? And they say I angle at it from all of these directions. I mean, they put out a song called Mercy Street, and George Will throws himself in my path with Mean Street to Easy Street. And then Martha Gellhorn throws herself in my path in Montana. What a collection of, and they say we're dreamers, and I'm a mimicry of the great dreamer. What kind of dream did Barack Obama have? He thinks murdering children with drones is going to save the world. Talk about a dreamer. Well, he gets away to 5 estates. God. God. And they have this fanatical military eschatology. Anything you believe in, they give you counsel about how you can disappear, how you can erase all trace of your existence so you can't be credit rated. Because if you show your any kind of education or civic value, you will be noted and written in a book and subject to this thing that's this monstrosity that was building up the face behind the face behind the face. I mean, they're justifying induction of a 9-year-old to federal sexual trafficking services. It's saying it's because he has to be a child soldier. It's such a compound assortment of bizarre ridiculousnesses that somehow issue from John Lennon's Wizard Room group and groupettes and trans groupians that it harnesses its vitality from being completely absurd. And they have these catchphrases like, I can't tell when you're serious and when you're not, because they lack the capacity of self-reflection. I've shown the evidence to a couple of people who didn't lack the capacity for self-reflection, and they were mortified. I, I'll give you an example of this. Seattle. You know, where who Whisper campaigned a sidebar narrative that was totally ridiculous for their own fulfillment of tall tale ecstasies about a rave massacre that happened there. Seattle, you know what I'm talking about. The place that banned me from school for 12 years. And denied any sort of evidence. They said I believed I was kidnapped and tortured when I was 13 years old, was when it happened. And so there was no evidence. Smoking gun photographs, my mother had to move, I have a neuroplasm, they called that thing in your face, which they tasered me with in Pittsburgh 10,000 times. It wasn't a literal taser, it was a neurocongestive taser it was horrible. I lay on the sidewalk, vomiting and screaming with my eyes spinning from this nerve agent they gave me, and they recycled the trauma of it through a line machine that they generated. Really, souvenirs, spy masters, impinging on a Pittsburgh public school student, saying he should be inducted into the Ukrainian Pussy Ball tournament. Well, they said I couldn't go to school because of they wouldn't look at the evidence. I said, would you look at the evidence before you pass judgment? They said, nope. We can tell from what you say it says that it doesn't, and that you're mentalizing. So I put them away. I went to school, left town to find a college that would accept me, made honors, graduated, came back to Tacoma, made Phi Theta Kappa, 2 more years of honors deportment. Meanwhile, they were hissing and saying, "Oh, don't let children near them." You know, Jeannie was Korean. She was perfectly safe with me. We were best friends for a long time. I dearly love her. But every accusation is a confession with these people. And so I did this duty call to perform my academics after Jeannie taught me sign language and made it possible, something Pittsburgh never bothered to do because they thought it was too good to have me as the son of the philosophy of education chair. That's too good. He gets deafened and doesn't learn sign language and he's out. That's the way Pittsburgh mobocrats ruled. It was a decree that Seattle seconded. Sunday Audit got in trouble for, he used to say, lift your head up, basically, in sign language. He'd do like this, hold your head up. But he said your admiration for Fannie Lou Hamer is obvious. I mean, now and then people have said nice things about me. I mean, I've tried to let it sink in that not everybody is filled with pre-generated animosity. You can't tell the difference between right and wrong. So I performed this duty of 4 years of school. I put away the letters that made me an easy mark for Seattle's crowd and these CIA people and these rave massacrados. for 4 years. And then after I graduated, made honors, got my certificates from Psi Beta, Phi Theta Kappa, I said, I wonder if those letters look any differently to me now. So I tut over to my, storehouse of notebooks and found them again. And lo and behold, they said exactly the same thing. The context was a little different. My understanding of them had certainly matured. But they said exactly the same thing that they had said on October 17th, 1993, when I was arrested for defiant trespass for courteously canceling an appointment that I hadn't even been banned from at the University of Pittsburgh Law School. And Pitt Law didn't stand up for me. And they still said the same thing that they said that night. To say our government is passing strange is an understatement. It's downright weird and sickening anymore. I don't know what to say about the people who try to put the taboo on me because they don't want Palantir to tamper with their privacy, but they can't wait to see what Jimmy Curry searches for. I oppose genocide. These people put their genocidal emblem on their pornography. I look at pornography because I oppose genocide. Genocide is sick and evil. They've castrated me and they've left me in isolation. They've made me deaf and they've even gone after my eyes. My eyes are fading. These are sick, sick people on the rag. And they don't have their facts straight. They don't have the people who they're accusing identified clearly. And it's very characteristic of them to make secret tapes and then decide as a gang to engage in secret punishment. A person who their allegations about have been completely discredited, that don't make any sense at all in defense of real criminal perpetrators. And for some reason, the fact that there's musicality in the world that some people are gifted with and make a living at conquers their self their dignity, their self-awareness. And they have the army putting people on drugs and taking them to islands. I mean, it's just habit. It's certainly not any kind of freedom.